Hi class, and welcome to Module 3. In this module we're going to take a look at similarities and differences, otherwise known as comparing or contrasting. So the objectives for this module are to analyze two subjects or objects and compare or contrast them by using this particular rhetorical strategy. We're going to demonstrate knowledge of point-by-point essay structure or block structure by showing evaluations or understanding of the subtle differences or similarities of items. Of course, we're going to apply MLA formatting rules to this essay, and we're going to use correct sentence structure and unified paragraphs for coherence. So let's begin. Definition of what a compare and contrast essay is. In this particular essay, you will either compare something or you will contrast something. A comparison means you will emphasize the similarities of something, whereas if you're contrasting something, you're going to emphasize the differences. So think of it like that. It's very simple. So the purpose of doing a compare and contrast essay is quite simple, and it's something that we actually do on a daily basis that you might not think of. But we do compare and contrast things, and we should, so that we make better choices. We make better educated decisions, like what kind of phone to buy or what service provider to use for our televisions or for our phone service. What university to attend, based on in-state tuition or out-of-state tuition or private or public. These things matter, and obviously sometimes the benefits outweigh the cons. So that's why you compare and contrast. It also helps illuminate the subjects in an argument. So it's something that you can use later on when you get to your argument essay. It also convinces someone that one product is better than another, or to vote for another candidate over another. When you compare and contrast, you see the differences and the similarities between them and what you prefer and what you dislike. So there's two organizational patterns. One is called block arrangement, and then the other one is point by point or alternating arrangement. The alternating paragraphs contrast the following paragraph. So you have one subject or topic that is discussed in detail in one paragraph and a certain arrangement of particular attributes of that topic or subject. And then in the next paragraph, you will talk about the opposing topic or subject, but you will talk about the same things. And I'll show you in a second kind of how that works. And the point by point arrangement is suited for longer essays when you kind of forget the different things that happen in the paragraph and the paragraphs get too long and there's more things that you're comparing and contrasting and it needs more paragraphs. So what happens is you have a paragraph discussing whether or not, in the example that we're going to use, if the tails to a cat and a dog are the same in length. And you would talk about the fact that they both have fur in the next paragraph. So you would only talk about that one subject about the particular the topic. So, but you want to make sure you don't go into the tennis match where you have one is this way and this one is this way and that one is this way. So it's one of those scenarios where you have to use transitions to make sure that it's easy to understand. Excuse me. So you want to make sure that you give both topics, equal discussion. So that's where making sure that you use a parallel structure when discussing. So when you talk about one thing, you give the same amount of time to the other topic too. And so the other thing you have to make sure is that the item that you're comparing and contrasting, or the items, have some sort of commonality with them. Meaning they're, in the instance, the example that we'll be using is they're both animals and they're both, pets. So they have to have something in common, otherwise you couldn't compare or contrast them. So in the example, as I've been discussing, and this is a Venn diagram to kind of show you how things are different and then how they're similar in the respect that the center overlaps. So while you have a dog and a cat and they have lots of differences, the middle part represents how they might be similar. So when we go to this next slide, you can see what I've done is I've filled it in the middle with the red text, the similarities between the dogs and cats. They both have fur, they're both pets, they both have four legs, and they both have tails. Then on the outside, you see in the black text, I've used that parallel structure I was talking about to say how they're different. So one is a canine, one is a feline, one is usually larger, one is smaller, although that's not always the case. So it's usually as a qualifier. Dogs have bigger teeth than cats, and then dogs bark and cats meow. So again, using a Venn diagram, you can show how they're similar and then different, and you can use this as a brainstorming technique. So here's just a little link to where I got some of this information, and good luck with your essay, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the discussion board. Thanks.